Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another fairly nice evening in the Midlands. Just popping out for another quick little camera test. This is, here we go, first real go with the system running at, camera running at proper high resolution. Now that I've got capability to actually edit it. So we're running at 1080 at 50 frames per second, make it PAL compliant. Microphone bit rate is high, give us least data compression, and camera setting, mic setting is at center position. That's what 2 out of 3. Those who might have watched one of my other previous little tests with this might have noticed that I had a bit of a problem with the microphone boom being a little bit floppy. Well, the real trouble with that was that it was never really designed as a motorcycle helmet add-on. So what with it sitting on the left-hand side, the boom actually was just too long. Now you could stiffen it up with tape or some other fairly hokey solutions, but the real solution here seems to have been just use it as really as it was intended, tuck it inside the inside of my open face helmet, and the additional pressure of the side cheeks just shortens the boom enough, gives it a bit more rigidity, and it just sits there. So there we are. Simplicity. It does make it a little bit more of a pain in the neck to get on and off, but given the fact I don't use it all the time by any means, it'll do. Anyway, we may well, given the light is falling at the moment, time at the moment is coming up for 7:30. I haven't, as you can see, daylight savings has kicked in, and I haven't reset the clock on the FJR, so it's showing about 6:20, which is wrong. I'm wondering actually whether I might have been better off switching the low light mode on, but given the fact that I would then have to cut the frame rates back, if it's PAL it'd be at 25 frames per second, just to give it a fighting chance. I think we'll just stick to where we are. 50 gives a little bit more scope for altering the exposure, so we shouldn't really see any major league problems. And now some of you might have been wondering, been following some of these tests I've actually been doing, I might say, good God man, why haven't you got on and get it all sorted out by now? And that'd be a good question, and the reason for that really is time, and the last week or so I have been really ill. I've always suffered from stomach problems, and we just pop round, back up to 5th, and a bit more screen just to help things. And anyway, after the last few months have been pretty stressful, what with a number of deaths in the family, and really my stomach I think just finally gave up the ghost last week, and subsequently anyway a visit to the doctors and that seems to have ruled out some of the more nasty possibilities. So I suspect it's just nerves, and so I've just been given an increased dosage of the drugs I was on anyway, which is lansoprazole. Up to about 45 milligrams per day, which is pretty good. I'll try and keep it down at 30, but we can use it as required. And this is the first day I have actually felt well enough to ride. I have just been sick as a dog. That's good. I haven't even got my helmet mount, camera mount set up on my full face helmet yet, which I absolutely promised myself I would do. Because I tend to use my Schubert full face on my Guzzi, as well as on this, but I'm promising myself to get that all set up, get the mic fitted and everything, and I just haven't done it. But I will get that set up soon. and then hopefully we can start getting some trips in, do some interesting stuff, and actually give you something slightly better to watch than this. This really is just as much as anything for my own amusement, and to test the computer. We're just coming round into the little village of Borrowash at the moment. It's been a lovely day today. Yeah, there we are, being nagged at by the sign. Okay, fair enough. It's been a lovely day today. Started out very sort of wet, rainy, miserable, then cleared by midday, and I was able to take my horse Morgan out for a little tootle round, give him a bit of exercise, because again I just have not felt well enough at all to ride. I forced myself to go riding on Sunday to give my other horse Patch a bit of an outing, but I can't honestly say it was particularly pleasurable. Anyway, today took Morgan out with my granddaughter Grace, and she took her horse Duffy, and we went for a little tootle round, which was nice, and we had a bit of a water fight, and we both got thoroughly soaked, which was quite fun. And the girls are going to have pizza tonight. However much I might like the concept, I suspect it will be asking a little bit too much, so I might have something a bit plain, something like either soup and toast, or maybe beans on toast. That'd be quite nice. Something without too much in the way of grease. Try not to provoke anything. And my friend Jacob's coming round, and so you can have a look at the new computer I've got, because that's an epic tale in its own right. Ended up trying to order this thing off online. They sent me the wrong damn thing. When I sent it back, I was hoping to get what I wanted. No, they ended up giving me a refund through PayPal, which is fine, because apparently the item I wanted was out of stock, despite them still advertising it on eBay. Okay, fine, no worries. So I went into PC World, had a look at what they had, because by now I'd sort of given up this idea of getting stuff online, because it's fine, but you know, when you're spending quite a bit of money, it's bloody annoying not to know exactly what you're getting until it comes out of a box. You can never be entirely sure that what you've ordered is going to be anything like what you receive. Anyway, so we did that, and there wasn't... I really wanted... my specification really ran something like this. I wanted an i7 processor. I needed at least 8 gig of RAM. I wasn't too bothered, frankly, whether it had a solid-state hard drive or not, because they're really nice and they help the boot-up time no end. But the downer is, if they do fail, you have total loss of all your files. They're non-recoverable. All of which means you should back up, but yes, and you should do anyway, that's just a given. But let's face it, how many of us really do it? Whereas at least with a standard hard drive, if it does decide to die, there are ways and means to try to extract something. Also, of course, you do pay a premium for the SSDs. Anyway, so I was quite tempted with this Lenovo, which I said had an i7 dual-core processor, good clock speed, I think it was about 2.2, 2.3 gig, and a nice 12 gig of RAM, and I thought, well, that's fine. Anyway, I got talking to the guy at PC World, and he was trying to sell me a Mac. Well, don't get me wrong, I do like the Apple stuff. It is very nice, but the base entry price is something like 750 quid, and that's buying you like a little baby 12-inch MacBook. If you want to, and I would be that had like an i5 processor in it, and I'm not convinced at all that that'll be up to the job. And if you want to make sure, by the time you get up to a proper i7, you are in serious money. I mean, 1,500 quid plus. And there's also the thing is, Apple stuff is lovely. I've got a Works iPad, which is very nice, so I'm not against Apple at all. But they really do own your ass. The software is so exclusive. I mean, my iPad, I have no idea what's going on most of the time. Whereas things do go wrong with PCs and Windows and that, but at least I know roughly what I'm doing and how to fix it. Most of the problems with Windows can be sorted out. They are bloody annoying that you have to do it, but it is fixable. Whereas I have absolutely no idea how the file systems on Apple's work. As far as I can see, it's a very nice, very sophisticated, very slick product, but it's not amenable to being messed with, and the choice of software is limited. It's Apple or nothing, take your pick. Whereas at least Windows is an open source platform. You can, like Android, you know, if you don't like what Microsoft produce, no worries, you just go down the road and get something else, and probably you'll be able to get it for free anyway. So that in mind, I sort of had given up on the ghost for a moment, because I say I wasn't feeling very well this week, and really I was doing this more just to keep my mind on something, off just frankly how lousy I felt, and a little bit of worry about what might be the problem. Anyway, so I went down to the local computer supplier, S&B Computers, Long Eaton, for those who might be interested, and had a little browse around there. Now they do a lot of refurbished stuff, and I got talking to the guys there, and basically the prices were pretty reasonable for what they were giving, but my eyes dropped on this nice Hewlett Packard workstation. So it's a fairly hefty laptop. We've got magnesium chassis, i7 quad-core processor, 16 gig of RAM, and I think it's a 256 gig SSD hard drive. So, that with all of which was brand spanking new on the refurbished, because a lot of these things come from universities, so they really haven't been used. I mean, the keypad looks like it's never been used at all. So, just drop it down to 30 now, coming into Hay-Heddle. Oops. Well, that's him who's setting that off, not me. There you go. Yeah, so, and this was going for about $680. Now, given the fact one of these things brand spanking new would be about $2,000, and the latest ones are built on the Pavilion chassis anyway, which is plastic, I have to say that it also came with a copy of Windows 7 Professional, which is one of my more favoured operating system, because it at least gives you compatibility with a lot of the older stuff I have. I mean, I kept operating Windows XP for as long as I could, simply because the system worked. It was a very nice system, but when it was debugged after, say, year 2 of the operating system, I never really know why they went. I mean, Vista was a catastrophe. I had a laptop with Vista, and it never ran properly. Never really sorted the problems out. I think that's the reason why in the end they went to XP, but went to Windows 7. They just gave up Vista as just a plain bad job, and it was. So anyway, some of my XP stuff will work, which is fantastic, because I've still got something like a little Canon, like for instance my little Canon flatbed scanner, which I've had for donkey's years. I can't remember when I actually bought it. It was maybe 204, 205, something like that. But it works beautifully. It really does. The colour rendition is great. I mean, I know I've got a printer with a built-in scanner, but some of the software I don't think it's quite as good, even though it's a lot newer. Anyway, so that can go on. So anyway, I've got this thing. Had to go with one 1080-60 file that I generated off this Drift camera a few weeks ago, just to see how it worked. The rendition was fantastic, and even the low-res stuff that I've recorded, I played it on it, and it was just so much better. There was no jerkiness, no nothing. In fact, I say even the 730 frames 720 30 frames per second stuff was really, really good. Even when compressed down to YouTube format, it played really well. So I am a happy bunny. Anyway, I'm going to put this on and see how this one works. We're now sort of getting into dusk, so you're now hitting the time when you might consider going on to low light setting for the camera, but shouldn't really be too much of a problem. Right, let's go. Give the old girl a bit of a go, whiz. That's one thing with the old FJ, you get some pickup. And back to being sensible again. There we go. So anyway, in terms of software I put on the computer, so far I've done very little. I got it on the Thursday, really didn't feel like doing a lot, but for the basic stuff I've got AVG antivirus and PC TuneUp, which I thoroughly recommend. I've run my old Lenovo, which was a second-hand computer off my stepson, and which is over 8 years old, and that runs really fast. It's a brilliant piece of software. It fixes all the registry errors, defrags the disk for you, does all manner of bibs and bobs, as well as goes through a sort of optimization program, so you can tell it what you actually like. Like for instance, your screen display, how do you want to do it? Do you want it to be best graphics and never mind the performance implications, or do you want it screen graphics sort of to cut down a minimum just to keep the PC running as fast as possible? You can set loads of little things like that, and it works. I mean, yes, you do have to subscribe. I think it's about 25 quid a year, but it works. I've never had a problem with the antivirus, so that's good. And just for put a few other little bibs and bobs on, and just as a first video editing program, just to get the ball going, I just reinstalled Microsoft Movie Maker. I know it's nowhere near as good as you can get. In fact, my friend Jacob, who I'll be seeing this evening, has recommended a couple of freeware programs that are good. Jacob's a professional photographer and does a lot of this anyway, so he knows what he's talking about. And we'll just tootle back in. So that should be quite fun. I'm quite looking forward to it. But one thing you do notice though is just how quick the boot up with the SSD drive is compared with traditional magnetic hard drive. It is really, really quick. Another thing I've noticed is actually the wireless unit on it is very, very fast. Download speeds for the programs I put on have been fairly epic. I haven't tested the upload yet because I haven't to put anything onto YouTube, so that is going to be a bit interesting. My system at the moment is rating at about 50. It's normally rated at 50 megabytes for the download, so you only ever get half, so at best you'll be looking at 25. But of course that's optimal. That's what the system's capable of, allegedly. What you get is something slightly different, and of course it really also depends on your wireless unit, and some of the cheaper ones I know are relatively slow. They work fine, but if you're trying to upload large files, it takes time. So again, that's another little test to do. I'm looking forward to it, see how it all works. Right, we're just taking a little bit of an extended detour around the block just so I can finish this little natter. I say, hopefully it's all going to work well, and I can get my camera set up on my full face helmet as well, so we can take the Guzzi out, get a few rides on that, and we might do a somebody actually riding one of those bloody hoverboards without falling off. Fantastic. So anyway, he's bound to face plant himself. Anyway, Anyway, back to this. We'll hopefully get this all edited, and if it's any good, I might pop it up on YouTube, and then we can start to crack on with doing some proper stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. Speak to you guys later.